Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's show of Roc'N Recovery. My name's Carol Michelle, and today on the show we have two very special guests. We have Randy Cimino from Gates to Recovery, and also Chief VanBrederode from the Gates Police Department.
Good to be here.
Okay, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Roc'N Recovery Talk Show, featuring Carol Michelle Holsizer and Jonathan Jacobs, bringing Rochester the latest news and resources for recovery from drug addiction.
Hi everybody, thanks for staying with us on Roc'N Recovery. I'm still here with Randy Cimino and Chief James VanBrederode, and we're talking about the impact COVID-19 has had on the recovery community and access to treatment. So what are you finding to be true right now, Chief?
Well, a couple things of significance have occurred because of the COVID-19 strategy that came out. It kind of took a lot of the resources that were going to be used against the opioid epidemic. For example, around February 22nd is when all of a sudden law enforcement noticed a spike in the deaths that were occurring. We were averaging about one a day through the end of February, and then into March the deaths continued. March 15th is when they pretty much shut down the schools and everything got diverted towards the corona problem. Mm-hmm. And as we saw, March was absolutely a terrible month in the number of deaths, 17 deaths in the month of March. That was just an incredible amount of deaths that we hadn't seen in a long time. And again, it was just bad timing. Everything has been bad timing with the virus and what's happening with the opioid epidemic. And, you think all we see all the events have been canceled, the Jazz Festival, the Lilac Festival, mm-hmm. but it's also canceling a lot of the events that a lot of the grassroots organizations do. A lot of the family sessions through SOARs, I'm sure, have all been canceled. Can't gather no more. Our walk-in centers have closed. So there's been a lot of huge impact on...
Except for Henrietta.
Except for the Henrietta one. But it's really set us back quite a lot. But I think what's interesting, I think most people that are familiar with the opioid problem, I think what you're seeing with the COVID-19 response, you see this big effort, daily briefings, meetings every day. This is what we were asking for when the opioid problem hit. This is what they're doing now, I believe, is what should have been done 3 or 4 years ago when the body count started going up. It should have been handled the way it's being handled today, that this COVID-19. You see the response, you see all the resources, you see the president on TV every day, and we're still only up to, and I'm not saying only, but we're still around the 10,000 mark of deaths across the whole country. Well, we know, we average 65,000, 70,000 Americans will die from the opioid problem. So interesting how this is being handled a lot more aggressively than the opioid problem. These are the things that we notice here in law enforcement, and I'm sure you as citizens notice. The response to this is a lot different than the opioid problem. Another thing that I think was a bad move for us was, the belief that the virus was going to spread throughout all the jails. Maybe that was happening in 1 or 2 jails down south or in New York City, but they decided to just implement this kind of like a knee-jerk reaction, and they ordered about 50 parole violators out of the Monroe County jail where there had been absolutely no positive tests over there. And to this day, we still have nobody testing positive in our jail. Those prisoners were all released, and we know most of them are in jail, or they violated their parole because of that addiction problem, that they got them into trouble again. And so we took 50 of these prisoners and we just sent them back out onto the streets. And I just think that's a more deadly environment than if we had just kept them within the jail, where they had good nutrition every day, they had access to medical care right there, as well as the mental health and the addiction services, all the great things, programs that have been put in place by Sheriff Baxter. We pretty much just let them out on the streets, and I just think that was a deadly error to do that, but we'll see what happens.
Now, you said that the cycle of the increase in overdoses started in February.
Yeah, it was about the last week of February. All of a sudden, something changed, I think, in the drug supply. We were averaging at least one or two a day. It kind of brought us back to about over a year ago when we were averaging 18 a month, 20 a month So something definitely had changed, and unfortunately, we had just started getting things in place, demanding answers from our medical examiner's office to find out, hey, can you tell us what's going on? You got to get these tox reports done to let us know what's in there that's killing them. Is there anything new in the drug supply that we didn't know? But it all came to an end when this COVID-19 broke, and it's been pretty much, I think, pushed on the back burner, and I understand why, but.
I believe that 100%. I believe that the difference in the Corona thing versus the opioid crisis is the opioid crisis. The body count is from self-inflicted stuff. Okay, it's because of the drug use, and people dying at their own hand versus people, possibly innocent people, dying just because they can be infected by someone else. So they have to focus more. I get why. And I'll tell you what. And I'm gonna say, because I know that you and I are going to see eye to eye on this. I think Adam Bell's doing a fantastic job, but at the same time, I want to say that Dr. Mendoza is doing a great job. And I've locked up with Dr. Mendoza on more than one occasion, and I believe that he is under the new administration that he's in. He's putting in a whole lot more effort. He's making a whole lot better difference as far as I'm concerned. He's making a whole lot of difference, and I know that you don't know, but. What I know is that Jim and myself and Lisa sat in his office for an hour and a half, and he went through with us what he's about to do. And it's not for me to say what he's about to do, but I'll tell you what, we are going to come way ahead of Erie County and everyone else that's fighting this thing.
Let me interrupt you for a second.
Go ahead.
Okay, let's back it up for a little bit, because you're saying a whole bunch of stuff, and I want to hit them one at a time.
There you go.
The first thing that you were saying is that you think that the reason why Corona is getting handled differently than the addiction issue is because the addiction is self-inflicted.
I do.
But if you believe in addiction being a disease,
I do.
Okay,
I do.
Then you know that it's a mental health issue.
I believe that, and Carol, I'm right with you on that. But when we sit back and let's go talk to my mother or your father or someone has never had dealt with this addiction thing themselves personally, and ask them. And then see where I'm coming from. And when I say what I'm saying, I'm not saying it because that's what I believe. And I want everybody to see it that way. I say that because that's just the way life is, man. It's just the way it is. And it's a horrible thing that everyone doesn't understand the addiction thing on the level that we do.
Right. And
so that they can see it for what it really is. And that this is as serious as the Corona thing, and maybe even more so because our body count is higher.
Yeah. Now, as far as that goes, I am not one to say that people who are using drugs are victims. They're not victims. They're making a decision to use drugs every day. I totally get that, and I don't think by holding them and saying that they're victims, we're doing them a favor at all.
I agree.
We have to empower them to say, you know what, this is your decision. You have control over your life. But at the same time, when people are overdosing and dying, it's not only affecting that person, it's affecting families, it's affecting children, it's affecting our community as a whole, it's affecting our economics, it's affecting law enforcement.
Well, let's go back to this. I was an addict for 30 years, and during the course of my addiction, and that's how I hooked up with Jim. I've known Jim for a very, very long time, and he's chased me, and he's been my enemy, and now he's my very
I'm
good
sure
friend.
there's a lot of stories about that.
And let me tell you something. He went from being the guy that I never want to see to the guy that I have to talk to every day. And the thing is this: him and his men and all of law enforcement were able to stop me from hurting myself by locking me up for a month at a time, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever it might be. Okay. They talk to you on the way in, try to talk some sense into you. Of course, we didn't have what Todd Baxter has right now. Our sheriffs at the time didn't know what they were, as far as what to do. So they did. Okay, jail was jail. But he was able to stop me and save me from myself. They don't have that power anymore, Carol. And because they don't have that power anymore, things are going to go sideways, man. This judicial reform, in my opinion, I wouldn't even wanted it when I was in my crime business because I'd been dead. We're not helping anybody. And if you think you're helping the criminal, the person that's out there, by the time Jim had to arrest me or any of his men had to arrest me, I'm thinking, they finally heard my cry for help, and they were going to help me. You know what I mean? Somebody has to help me. Do you know that an individual right now can't walk up to an officer and tell him to go screw himself and get a night in jail with a hot meal and a shower? Can't do it anymore. And they'll be like, yeah, stop that. Take this piece of paper, go to court. It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
So it affects everyone.
I agree with you 100% on that. Now let's go to the next thing that you were talking about, the Adam Bello issue.
Yes.
And I can't say that I don't dislike Adam Bello.
Okay.
I don't know him personally or anything like that.
Okay.
But from what I've seen, and I tried to contact him. I tried to schedule a meeting with him. I tried to talk to him to find out what I can do to help, first of all, right? And what I see is nothing. Okay, because I know that the COVID-19 situation is very important, but somebody in his position should be able to multitask and handle two crises at once.
Okay, I don't disagree that you believe and feel that he is not doing anything on our end. I disagree. I know better, and the reason I know better is this. And don't take offense here. This is the thing. I want to know where Mission Recovery was. I want to know where all the other recovery companies were when he was running for office and he needed help. Okay, because I'll tell you where Gates to Recovery was. We were right there on his side, and I'll tell you why. I met Adam Bello in an alley with Lisa. Okay, Lisa and I were going
in an alley.
How about this? Next, I was going down to address the county legislator, and he was coming out of his office. We were in that alley next door. I said, hey, you're Adam Bello. He said, I am. I said, I want to talk to you. He said, who are you? I said, Randy Cimino, Gates to Recovery. I'd love to talk to you. And we started talking, and he started picking my brain, and we spent hours together. And then we started on his campaign, and I reached out to Cheryl, and I asked her, and she just kept on ignoring us. I don't want to talk about the recovery. No, that's it. Okay, so I supported him. I'm a Republican. I supported the Democrat 100%, and I did it with good conscience, and I think he's doing a great job. I think that we're looking at it. How long's he been in office?
Not that long.
Okay, so we don't have to expect a whole bunch in that little tiny, he's holding down quite a bit in comparison. When he was about to unroll his plan, okay, obviously they got put on hold. And I don't agree with it any more than anybody else, but he has to prioritize as well in his line of work. So all I can do is say that I trust him. I believe that he's going to do every single thing he said he's going to do because he's already got everything in motion. And I'm willing to give him the extra time and just keep fighting the fight until he can get in on it with us.
Now, you don't know who I voted for.
I don't.
Right? So,
no.
And it's my privilege to vote for whoever I want, and I don't have to tell anybody who I vote for either.
That's correct.
And if you remember, I was open-minded. I listened to Adam Bello. I listened to Cheryl D'Onofrio. I don't play the bipartisan politics of it. I got to vote Democrat or I got to vote Republican. I mean, it depends on what the person stands for.
At the end, Carol, you did get involved.
Yeah, right?
And you did get involved because you came with us and you stood with us.
Right.
So I'm just saying.
And to encourage, but on a good side, right?
Yes, you were a positive force with us, Gates to Recovery. On a night that I asked you for help, you were there for us.
Right.
I don't know if you were there for us or for him or for Cheryl or whoever, but you were there.
Right.
And you did a great job, and we were real happy to have you.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that he was reaching out for help at one point, and Gates to Recovery is the one that snatched hold of him and said, come on. And we went through things with him. Now, I'm not saying that
but you're not the only organization that's around here, and he's got to represent everybody, whether they voted for him or not.
He will talk to anybody. But you're looking at the first few months of him being in office. The reason he chose to let us come and sit with him and explain to us is because we were right there with him. Listen, we talked about these other organizations. We talked about your organization. I talked about the ones that I like. And I talked about the ones that I dislike.
I believe in the transparency that, like Todd Baxter, the transparency of these are the overdose numbers, all that stuff, that was huge.
It is.
And I think that maybe the mistake with Adam Bello is that he is not being transparent in what he's doing, because for me not to know and for you to know, that's just not right, in my opinion. Okay? He
hasn't been unrolled yet. So he was still tweaking it. He was still putting it all together. Jim, you know that. I know that. And I'm excited about you finding out about exactly what he set up. Yeah. And you know, but there's stuff that that we don't know that he couldn't release to us. But what I'm saying is, he's done more in his short time that he's been in office than any of our past. And I'm not talking about just the last one. Our past county executives have done. So I've got a lot of hope I've got a lot of hope for Adam. I'm cheering for him. I'm in his corner 100%. And again, Dr. Mendoza, who I was completely against, 100%. I'm absolutely have a total change of heart about him. In a whole bunch of senses, and a whole bunch of not just the opiate thing, but as a human being in general and how he does his job. I'm very impressed with him.
I like Dr. Mendoza too, and he's got a heart. For a medical professional to be interested in understanding about our issue.
Yes,
I think that's huge.
It is huge.
Yeah.
He said something to me, and I thought it was the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. And I'm going to tell you what he said to me. Uh-oh. We were sitting at the table, Cheryl D'Onofrio, Lisa, myself, their attorney, and somebody else. And he says, Randy, he says, I'm going to tell you the truth. He says, we can't put all our eggs in one basket. We're going to have another epidemic in our hands, and we ain't going to know what to do if we put everything in all our eggs in one basket right now. I said, that's got to be the stupidest thing I ever heard. And now look, there it is. Okay? So he was right. I was wrong. There it is.
Say it again. I was.
Won't say it again. But it has to be said, because you know what? I thought he was just trying to shortcut me and shortchange me, and he absolutely knew what he was talking about. So I have a whole new respect for his opinion and what he has to say.
Okay, we got to go to a break, okay? You'll have a turn next time, I promise you, okay? But stay with us, we'll be right back. Hey everybody, thanks for staying with us on Roc'N Recovery. Now I know there's been a lot of things that have been changing, and you're on the front lines, you see it all.
Yeah, let me give you kind of a snapshot of what's happening right now today. First of all, we clearly have some sort of a spike in the drug supply that is much more lethal than before. For example, Erie County last month had 25 fatal overdoses where we had 17. So obviously it's not just limited to here in Monroe County. So it shows that there's some sort of a drug supply, because it's up in Erie County too. They've been doing phenomenal with their numbers, and for them to have a death rate of 25 is unbelievable. Number one. Number two, there's a lot of depression going on right now with this self-isolation. We've had an uptick in suicides all across Monroe County, a significant uptick. And these are all the things that you're not seeing on the news. They don't typically report on suicides, and these aren't the things. Right now it's all about the virus. But there's a lot of things happening that are bad, that are all related because of the virus right now and all the attention that's being put on this. And again, that whole thing of isolation. Mental health issues are still out there. Something we're going to start today through the Monroe County Department of Mental Health is we're going to start a program on all our Facebook pages. The police department is going to have a tip of the day on how to keep yourself mentally survive this epidemic that we're in, and give a tip every day. And that's coming from the Monroe County Department of Mental Health. We talked about that.
Now, give us an example. What's a tip? Give us one. Can we have a tip?
Well, I briefly read this. So tip number one was today's on the Gates Boost Facebook page.
Okay.
The first one was, hey, we start off with, it's normal, right? All the stresses and unknowns create anxiety, and so it's okay if to acknowledge you have a problem, and here's the phone number, and here's what law enforcement can do. Step one. All right, now we start getting into some of the things that you can do to create that sense of normalcy. Like, go about your daily schedule. Try not to change your lifestyle too much. That causes stress. Getting into a routine of getting that 8 hours of sleep every day. All the things that we take for granted, that sometimes we become complacent and we stop doing those things, that creates more depression and anxiety. Those are some of the suggestions that I saw on there. Physical fitness, right? I mean, if you feel good physically, it helps you mentally. After going out for a walk, you come back, you feel good. The endorphins are starting to flow. Mm-hmm. Just those tips to try to keep yourself healthy, and a nice wellness program, both mentally and physically. And so that's one of the things that we're going to start. I started today was to kind of come out with a tip of the day from our people from the mental health fields, because we know a lot of people are suffering right now, and I got to admit, even myself, I find myself going home every day, and luckily I can still go to work, but I get home and I don't know what to do. I mean, I can only watch so much TV, and I can only go out for so many walks, and then eventually you're like, well, what do I do, you know? And thank God the grass is growing now, so we can start to mow the lawn. But, you know, you think about it, right? You can't go to a gym, you can't go to the movie theater,
You
you
know,
can't go to a
Jim,
restaurant.
I've got a bicycle built for two.
I
heard about that.
thank Becky Baker and that great source event that was held back in August. Hopefully that'll still be able to go. The overdose awareness this August, we'll be able to do that. But and that is a wonderful bicycle. Someday we're gonna put that on your show, man.
Yeah. Now you guys are doing something interesting coming up soon too with a food bank. Can you tell us how that
Jim's
works?
going to tell us about that.
If you're looking for some assistance in food right now, you can call Food Link. They're going to be going around all the different communities in the next, starting this week and for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And they're coming to Gates on Thursday the 16th, but you have to call ahead, Food Link, and reserve a box. They'll have a prepared box with the food already in it. They're expecting up to 400 boxes that they'll be able to provide, and then that'll be distributed in the back parking lot of the Gates Town Hall on Thursday the 16th, I believe it is. But you got to call ahead and reserve one of those through the Food Link. And again, it's just about trying to give people a leg up on some of these food bills and trying to help out people.
Yeah, well, that's awesome.
And if someone's in crisis and they call Gates to Recovery, if it's a food issue, we do our very best to help out as much as we can. We can't feed everybody. We can't. We just not that. We're probably the smallest organization out there, but we will do our best. And Lisa and I have gone several homes and delivered food, and we gave away the turkeys. If there's those that are handicapped that couldn't make it, we brought their turkeys to them. Mm-hmm. You know, there's some way that we will help. We will help. If there's something we can do, it might not be a whole lot, but we know the right place to go to get what we need.
Right.
So, and I'm at St. Andrews is another fantastic resource of ours. I'm very close with them over there. Mm-hmm. So I can go to them. I can go to Food Link. There's so many.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, we gotta go. All
Okay,
right?
great. It's been a pleasure
To be here.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time on Roc'N Recovery. Bye. Nice job,
Awesome.
guys.
Thanks.
Hi, everybody. Please join me in displaying this purple ribbon of hope. If you carry Narcan, let's let the community know where this life-saving opioid overdose reversal drug is available.